Hey, what's up, Exit the Matrix family? Bob here. Hey guys, I hope you're having a great day. Thank you for joining me on this morning talk. So, guys, what I wanted to talk about today is a little bit about the Abrahamic face. You could call them the cult of the black cube, the cult of Saturn. And I know this always ruffles a lot of feathers, because my God, calling somebody's religion that they're indoctrinated into a cult, they just can't have that, right? But the problem is that most of your Christians, Muslims, and Judeans, they don't even understand the foundations of their faith. They don't even understand what their books are saying most of the time. And one of the main things that I've learned is that there is this weird connection to the planet Saturn, or the star set, whatever. Okay, flat earthers, I don't know what you want to call Saturn. Okay, the star Saturn, the planet Saturn, I don't know, whatever. Look, folks, just so everybody knows, I'm not a globe earther or a flat earther, because it's a simulation. Okay. It's a holographic projection, so whatever it is to you, cool. Flat Earth. Look, it does seem like it's a weird mix between the two. I'll get back on subject here, but I know this argument's hardcore on the internet, right? Look, I get it. Like, it does seem odd. There's properties on the Earth that can make you question the globe model. And, as far as how the water is always flat, and and all these arguments about the curvature and all this and that. And I'll admit, there are anomalies for sure. But one thing that is common is that people have NDEs and they see Earth from in the void outside of their body. They do say that the Earth construct is round. Now, is it round, but then it has a flat plane? Possibly. Or is the Earth much larger than we've been told? And that's why you don't see the curvature as much. That could be too. Look, folks, they could be lying to us about everything, okay? So that's why I don't like to get into that debate, just so you guys all know. But anybody, well, hopefully most people know that the planet Saturn is an enigma. For one, you have rings around Saturn. And two, you have, on one of the poles, you have this hexagon shape that is always there. And they say it's a cloud, it's a hexagonal cloud shape, or cloud form, right? But it's really an enigma. But this all ties in with the Abrahamic face, with the black cube. And you would say, well, why is that? Well, because that hexagon, it forms a three-dimensional cube. Okay? And it's also interesting that it just happens to be the same shape as the Judeans' Star of David, right? Just so happens. It's really odd. Now, there's some weird speculations. I've delved into this for quite a while. Some people have come out writing books and stuff saying that in the far past, before the Earth went through a major cataclysm, before the solar system went through a major cataclysm, it could be the one spoken about in the Enuma Elish, right, the cuneiform tablet, that at one time Saturn was actually the planet that gave the light to Earth, that it was the light bringer, so to speak. It was the sun. And that the sun we have now, I don't know if it came into our solar system, if it replaced it, if at one time Earth was a planet and it imploded, who knows? But there is this really interesting rabbit hole I've gone down before where, it's been explained that at the one time Saturn was the sun, or at least it was what lit up the Earth. So I don't know, folks. Look, That's just a little side thing. I don't know enough about that to go into the details with you. If you look it up, I'm sure you can follow the threads and the rabbit holes on that. But we do know that Saturn is an odd planet. It's got a hexagon shape on one of the poles, and it's got rings around it. And it's been an important planet worshipped in mythology. Well, we're just calling it, look, folks, I know, look, when I say mythology, I don't see mythology like academia does, right? It's all made up stories, and right? No, look, there's truth in mythology. I've already gone over that, who all the archetypes are, from the Sumerian gods all the way through the Greek and the German gods and the Druid gods and all. They're all the same characters, folks, okay? The Egyptian gods, the Hindu gods, all the same characters. The Anuna, the Elohim, it's about the same characters. It's not mythology, it's truth. It's just being spun as mythology because to our modern day, it seems so far-fetched. And now those same characters, they rule the world from behind the scenes. And I've gone into this many times. We're not going to delve into that. I'm sorry, folks. I am really bad. I'm like a squirrel. Once I go down a hole, I might follow it, and it kind of pulls me off the subject. And I'm sorry about that. It's just the way my mind works sometimes, connecting all the dots and so forth. And when I'm in the flow state, speaking and just pulling from memory and everything. And sometimes it leads me down paths, and I'll go down those paths if that's where the universe takes me. So now we're going to tie in proof that this is worshipped. This cube of Saturn is worshipped by the three Abrahamic faiths. It's represented by all three in their symbolism. All three of them hold it in high esteem. First one, Islam. Well, folks, there's this thing called the Kaaba. It's a big black cube in Mecca that the Islamic pilgrims make pilgrimages there, and they walk around this thing. I don't know what it is, I don't know if they walk around it for a day or days or whatever. It's really creepy. It's all these people walking around this black cube. Then there's this cornerstone in the cube that has a black meteorite, which just adds to the how weird it all is. And there's been arguments. Some people said that's Jacob's pillow. However, some people say Jacob's pillow in the Bible is actually the stone of Scone in, Scotland or Ireland? I can't remember. That's built into the throne that kings were coronated on. I mean, really weird stuff, folks. I mean, it's just really weird stuff. All this. But yeah, Islam, they worship the black cube. They literally walk around this thing, and it's got this black meteorite in the corner of this cube. Which, to them, they're saying, well, this was a rock hurled from heaven from God, right? Then you got the Judeans. It's a common practice that the Judeans will wear a little black cube-like hat. And they wear it over their third eye. It's not on their head, it's like on their forehead. And when they go and pray at the Wailing Wall, a lot of them you'll see wearing this as they're praying, and they'll tap it against the wall, and as they're doing their stuff and kissing it and all that weird shit, right? And their symbol, the Star of David, is the black cube of Saturn, folks. In fact, it is a lot of things. It is the as above, so below symbol, too. It's also that same symbol is also a rune. It's a sigil, okay? It's a very common sigil used in witchcraft. To put the as above, so below symbol on the ground, then you put a circle around that. And if you stand in the middle of that circle, and you can summon spirits or demons or whatever, and as long as you're in that hexagon shape with your circle around it, they believe that spirit can't touch you. It's like it's like building an invisible barrier, right? Because it's the intention in it. So you got, I mean, look, even the frickin', even the Wiccans or the, whatever, the witches, they use this symbol too. I mean, what is up with this symbol? Everybody using it, right? And then you'd say, well, wait a minute here. Now you're talking about Judaism and you're talking about Islam and even witchcraft, but that has nothing to do with Christianity. Oh no, but it does, folks. Because Christianity is just a sect of Judaism, okay? I mean, how many people know that there were top rabbis in the day that were at the round table called the Council of Nicaea with the Roman power brokers, rulers? There were heads of what you would call pagan pantheons, right? Like the Roman god pantheons. And then you had the heads of the early Christian church all met together to conceive the Bible. Okay? So yes, it's all connected. They're all connected, folks. Okay? But Christians would say, well, you're full of shit. We don't have a black cube that we worship. But you do. What do you think the cross is, folks? If you take the cross and you fold it over in on itself, it becomes a cube. The same damn thing, folks. Your cross is the cube, just fold it up. Okay? Look, there's nothing new under the sun, folks. A lot of you have all been worshiping Saturn without even knowing it, or at least wearing the symbolism of Saturn. These religions have all had a great affinity for Saturn. And we can go much deeper with the cult of Saturn, okay? There's an eye, or the rings, okay, right? Well, you know the movie, right? Lord of the Rings, right? Did you know that J.R.R. Tolkien was using the analogies of the Bible? And he even included the secrets of Saturn worship in his movie. Yeah, the Lord of the Rings, folks, is Saturn. The Lord God, Saturn, and his rings. Do you not get it? It was all incorporated in that movie because J.R.R. Tolkien, he must have knew some occultism, just enough. And he was a Christian, though. He put the Christian storyline, worked it into the whole Lord of the Rings like story. But but he was talking about the Lord of the Rings was the Saturn. And it's interesting, right? The whole analogy of this ring, right, of Saturn, and like or the Lord of the Rings, because there's multiple bands, so it's not just one ring around Saturn. You have bands of rings, right? Well, the whole point in the movie, right, Lord of the Rings, was that it was great. The rings of Saturn held great power, but they were connected to an evil god, an all-seeing eye, right? The Eye of Sauron. And humans, well, I guess in the movie, right, other races, but the humanoids in the movie, they felt like if they controlled one of these rings, if they held possession of it, it would give them power to overturn the darkness. But the problem is that the rings came from the Lord of Rings, from Saturn, and they were evil embedded in them, so it would corrupt anybody that even tried to use them for good. They would think they were doing good, but they would turn evil. Because what J.R.R. Tolkien was trying to teach everybody is that there's this cult of Saturn on the earth, and every religion bows to it. Well, at least the Abrahamic faith, and like I said, witchcraft too. Which you could, I don't know, whatever, connect that to Druidism or whatever you want. I don't care. I'm sure the Druids also worship the same symbol. I mean, he was really an intellect. He had some inside knowledge. Let's just put it that way. And then you would say, well, what's this eye you're talking about? Well, when Saturn's turned a certain way, and there's this weird, like pit on the other side of Saturn, on the other pole. And when it's turned a certain way, it looks like an all-seeing eye, with the ring being like the eyelid. That's where you get the eye of Sauron, the eye of Saturn. Okay? You know that all-seeing eye, folks? On your dollar bill, the natties, if you get what I'm trying to say, because apparently saying the full word now is also not allowed on YouTube and all these, or they'll shadow ban you if you talk about that group, right? That cult, right? Well, folks, where do you think the all-seeing eye that the Masons and all that use? It's the freaking eye of Saturn, folks. It's the same one. Do you see? You've all been fooled. All these religions all worship Sauron. Or at least Sauron's what J.R.R. Tolkien named this entity, this god of Saturn, right? No. You've got all of your religion paying homage to the Lord of Rings, to the eye of Saturn. Do you not get it yet, folks? It's always, look, astrotheology has always been worked into all your religions, okay? There's a weird affinity for Saturn. Maybe it's because it's so different from the other planets. But it's got this hexagon shape on one end. It's got this weird void on the other end that looks like an eye when it's turned. Like it looks, you know what I mean? Like the planet, when it's got some color to it, and then the eye, and then the black thing makes it look like a pupil. And then the rings look like an eyelid. I mean, I kid you guys not. I mean, this is just, it's unbelievable. And when you really start looking at all this, it just blows your mind. Now, do you want to see how more society worships this cube? Well, folks, when you graduate college or high school, what do you wear on your head? A black square. Now, I get it. You'd say, well, it's not a cube. No, but it's a priesthood. When you graduate and you put on those black robes and you put on that black hat with the square on it, it's still representing the black cube of Saturn. You're being initiated into, the educated humans on Earth. Because look, these same groups run our education system. Okay? Yes. And look, we could go on and on and on. It ties into like the whole, there's a lot of black cube Saturn stuff in the law, like in judicial stuff and all that. It's all throughout our civilization, without us even knowing. See, that's how these occultic groups work. They're so infiltrated into society, and they put their symbols out there without you understanding what these symbols are. It's really insane, folks. And of course, a lot of Christians will say, well, Saturn represents Satan. You don't say, right? Think about it. What is Satan? Well, Satan, according to the Bible, is the administrator of Earth. Okay? God, I'm talking Yahweh here, folks, not the creator of all, okay, that all of you fall for. You worship a Sumerian god. Okay? Yahweh is Enlil. He was also a Canaanite god of volcanoes and, what is it? I think blacksmithing or something like that because of the fire, right? That's why in the Old Testament, you have this whole weird story of Moses going up on the burning mountain, right? It's a freaking volcano, folks. And the thundering in the clouds above the mountain, it's a freaking volcano, folks. My God. How dense are you? Let's think about this, okay? Then they go into Canaanite and they start stealing their land. And then part of them, they start adopting these Canaanite gods. Okay? Well, Yahweh happens to be one of them. They realize that this same character that they brought down from Sumer and that he brought him out of Egypt away from the Enkiite family, because Enlil is an opposite. He's in rivalry with his brother Enki and his family. Enki's family ruled Egypt, okay? That's why he brought his people out of Egypt into Canaan, and they merged with the Canaanite people. They made their own little area there. They stole their land and they set up their own place there. And then they started worshiping the Canaanite gods, and Yahweh was one of them. And he had a wife, a consort named Asherah. I've went over all this, folks. Look, go do your own research if you don't believe me on any of this. This is stuff Pastor Dan isn't going to tell you. Because Pastor Dan tells you that Yahweh was God, Jesus walking on the earth, or sorry, that was Jesus before he walked the earth, right? One in the Trinity, they're all the same, right? Well, who's this Holy Spirit? Well, Christians can never answer that. Oh, it's like a magical power. It's the comforter. Well, who comforts you? Your mother. How do you have creation? Well, you got to have the masculine and the divine masculine and divine feminine come into. They come in together, and they merge, and they create a new life, a baby, a child, a son. Get it? I mean, my God. Yeah, Asherah was your Holy Spirit, folks. Okay? And if you go all the way back to Sumer, it was Ninmah. And I've already explained this about the Garden of Eden and the Adam and Eve story, who Ninmah was. Also known as Ninhursag, known as Hathor in the Egyptian pantheon. So you got all these religions worshiping this, Lord of the Rings, right? The black cube. It's really odd, folks. Now we can go even deeper into this. Now get this. There's been a few people I've listened to that had NDEs where they traveled to Saturn out of body. And what they explain is that what Saturn seemed to be was some kind of machine. Now, what do you think this machine would be doing, folks? Why would there be this planet that's like a machine out there? What would be the point of this Lord of the Rings, this all-seeing eye? Right? That's gone by many, many names. Well, what they've explained is that it's like what produces the holographic simulation that we call Earth. It's like the generator of the simulation. Folks, the I don't care what you want to call them, the planets, the luminaries, the bodies in heaven, the stars. It's all a machine. It's a time clock, okay? Now, to run a simulation like Earth, you need that much power, you're going to probably have some kind of external machines to operate it. You probably pull the power from the sun, that's the generator, right? And then the projector is Saturn. I'm just saying, I don't know for sure. I'm just speculation, and this is what a few people that have NDEs have said. Take what you will from that, but when you look at what we're talking about here, it kind of makes sense, right? I mean, if you're still one of these people at this point that doesn't realize that you're experiencing a simulation here, I don't know what to tell you, because quantum physics tells you it's a simulation, okay? Now, it's an interactive simulation, it's an immersive simulation, but it's still a simulation. Nothing is real here. It's all an illusion, okay? You have just a bunch of energy particles in open space, okay? It creates the illusion of physical reality based on the vibration level of those energy particles. It's simple as that, folks. I know it's not simple. I get that. This is the most insane construct you could ever imagine, okay? And perhaps the ancients had some kind of insight knowledge or ancient knowledge that got passed down, and they've been keeping it from the public, and they understand what Saturn really is, and that's why they all worship it. That's why they all give homage to it, okay? And isn't it interesting, folks? How did the ancient Judeans know about this hexagon? Because they didn't have telescopes and stuff to even see it. How did they know the details about Saturn? Was Saturn closer to Earth at one time? I don't know. Was this knowledge passed down from lost ancient, advanced civilizations like Atlantis or Lemuria? Possibly. I wouldn't even be surprised if at Göbekli Tepe that they find evidence of Saturn depicted there. Because we're starting to realize, right, that Göbekli Tepe was some kind of huge, like, clock system they built, like, that could, I don't know, if it was, like, memorializing, like, the movements of the stars and planets, or if it was some kind of a giant, like, machine, built, or creation made to predict the movement of the stars and cataclysms and stuff. I don't know, folks. Göbekli Tepe is insanity. For those of you that have been looking at Göbekli Tepe, I don't think most of you realize that they have excavated less than 10% of it. And it's not just Göbekli. You got Karahan Tepe. You got all these other sites all over the hills of Turkey there. I mean, they're starting to think that most of those hills around there are these complexes. And they were all buried. It's really odd, folks. I don't know if there was some kind of war that took place on Earth at one time. If it was just a massive cataclysm. I don't know, folks. We're still trying to figure all this out. The Younger Dryas. Looks like now it's starting to line up with Göbekli Tepe. What, about 10,000 to 12,000 years ago? It's insane. I'm not an expert on any of this, folks. I'm just passing on the knowledge that I've come by, connecting the dots, looking at things maybe from a different angle than a lot of people do. But wow, it's insane, man. I mean, some great mysteries, great things to think about for reals. But I'd love to hear your guys' thought, about the whole black cube of Saturn, the cult of Saturn, right? What you think about it. Maybe some of you know more about it than I do, or that you can add to it. I'd love to see it in the comments. And please, folks, look, this channel, they don't like this channel on YouTube. They've never hit any of my posts or taken them off. However, they heavily limit my reach. So you can help by liking the videos and commenting and sharing my videos. When I had my Facebook page, I was able to share these videos to a wide audience. And I was growing a lot then. I mean, I only started this channel like 2 years ago, or less than a year and a half ago. And I've been losing people now. And I know that's because a lot of the Christians get their feelings butthurt, right? Because they don't want to know any of this stuff. They don't want to understand. They've been hoodwinked, okay? They just want to keep up the illusion that they're, as long as I believe, I got my ticket punched to heaven. I mean, I don't. I've been kind of following some Christian NDE channels and stuff, and it just sickens me, folks. I mean, the propaganda sickens me, because now all of a sudden there's all these, it was never Christians involved in this NDE stuff, hardly ever in the past, and now you just see their channels popping up left and right, and they're trying to take control of the narrative, because they're losing the narrative, because the more NDEs that are coming out, the more it's crushing their religion and what's told in their Bible, right? Now, there's truth in the Bible, and there's accounts of NDEs in the Bible. Of course there is. Some say that Paul had an NDE, right? But anyways, folks, I know some of you have been asking me about this black cube of Saturn thing, and trust me, I didn't go into as much detail as I would have loved to, but I'll tell you what, Jordan Maxwell, look him up, talking about the black cube of Saturn. He goes into more detail and better detail than I have, because, well, I mean, he was doing conference talks, so he had professional talks lined up, right? I mean, I'm just doing this from my car, we're just talking about it, but anyways, if you want a little more detail on it, I would look up Jordan Maxwell and the black cube of Saturn, and he'll go into this in more detail than I did, and probably connect a lot more dots than I did. But I know that I also connected dots I haven't heard him connect. So anyways, folks, and work's been a nightmare. This has been one of the hardest weeks I've had. It's been brutal. So I'm actually here even earlier than normal at work. I'm almost 20 minutes earlier, trying to get a jump on the day. So, and it's a Saturday right now. So I'd like to get home and enjoy my day and a half off, because I, get Sundays off. And so you know how that is, right? You get off on Friday and you figure that's the beginning of your weekend. Those of you that have weekends off, luckily, well, I don't. So Sunday's my one day. So anyways, guys, hey, I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. if you're interested in doing a one-on-one Zoom, hit me up. That would be great. We're still doing the Garnett thing, folks. I have not sent those out yet because, look, we've had a lot of stuff going on at home, and I have not. Look, folks, if you guys really want to know, I was just about ready to send those out. I was working on jewelry and stuff, and those of you that are waiting for them, you are gonna get them, and I'm gonna put in extra stuff for you guys for your wait. Trust me. But I lost heart with the Garnett stuff for a little while with our dog passing. Um, he was my hiking and Garnett hunting companion, and I haven't hiked since the day he passed. It's been hard to think about it. So, anyways, guys, so I don't mean to get emotional on you guys, but it's been tough. So I have kind of set all that stuff aside, just because it's been hard to do because that was me and his thing. Anyways, the one-on-one Zooms, folks, you get a copy of it. We can, most of the time, most people I do these regularly with are usually booking 2 hours out. I know it sounds crazy, but when you get to talking about the subjects that we talk about, it goes deep, and you don't have to worry about anybody like judging you, what you're talking about, whatever. And it's something you can take, you can post on your own social media, whatever you want to do, make a YouTube video with it. I don't care. Okay. I don't do that because I protect your guys' privacy unless one of you specifically said, look, I want you to make this a video and post it on I'll do that too if you'd like. Okay. But, that's how you can support Exit the Matrix as we try to build back from Facebook absolutely screwing me and, trying to get these messages out there that nobody else is teaching. Okay. You guys know the stuff I talk about, most people don't. And there's a reason for that because this stuff is the stuff that most are not allowed to know. It's mostly hidden information. So, anyways, guys, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys, and I'll talk to you later.